Hi and welcome to our first level 3 differentiation video. In this video we're going to focus on the basics of differentiation with polynomials, a skill you probably come across last year in your level 2 course. Differentiation is the process of taking a function, which is a flash word for the rule, and turning it into a gradient function. For example, if we took the function y equaled x squared plus 4x, we could differentiate it and turn it into y dash is equal to 2x plus 4. We'll talk about what gradient functions are at another stage when we get into the application side of things. Right, here's some notation you need to be familiar with. We could use the lazy way and say the function y differentiates into y dash. We could be a little bit more formal and say the function y differentiates into dy over dx. Or if we use another type of notation, fx, or some people use gx or hx or any type letter to be honest, it differentiates into f dash x. Right, let's go through the rules. If we have a number a multiplied by x to the power of n, the n comes out the front and multiplies by the number a, and then we subtract 1 from the power. So 6x to the power of 5. The 5 will come out the front times by the 6 to make 30, and the 5 will drop down to a power of 4. If we just have x to the power of n by itself, the n still comes out the front and multiplies out the front, and then we still take 1 off the power. So x to the power of 3, the 3 comes out the front and multiplies by the x, and then we take the power of 3 and drop it down to a power of 2. A number by a letter differentiates just to the number. So for example, 5x will differentiate just 5. And finally, any number by itself will differentiate to 0, and we often say disappears. So 7 differentiates to 0. Alright, let's get into example 1. Let's differentiate y equal to 7x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5x plus 9. So the first term, the 3 will come out the front and times by the 7, and then the 3 will drop down to a power of 2 because we subtract 1. The second term, the 2 will come out the front and times by the 4, and then the 2 will drop down to a power of 1 because we subtract 1. Now this minus 5x will differentiate to minus 5. The x disappears, and this plus 9 differentiates to 0. So when we tidy it up, we get y dash is equal to 21x squared plus 8x to the power of 1 minus 5, but we don't need to write a power of 1, so we'll write it as 21x squared plus 8x minus 5. Alright, example 2. Let's differentiate. Y is equal to x to the power of 5 plus x cubed minus x plus 2. Well, the first thing to think about is that minus x by itself is actually minus 1x. And now we're ready to differentiate. So the first term, the 5 will come out the front and we'll take 1 off the power. The second term, the 3 will come out the front and we'll take 1 off the power. Now this minus 1x will differentiate just to minus 1. The x will disappear. And this plus 2 will differentiate to 0. So when we tidy it up, we end up with y dash is equal to 5 times x to the power of 4 plus 3 times x squared minus 1. Right, and let's look at a more tricky one to finish off with. Let's differentiate. Y is equal to 4x cubed over 5 minus 2/3 x squared plus 2 pi x. Right, well the first term, the 3 is going to come out the front and multiply by the 4. And we're going to take the power of 3 and take away 1 again. Don't worry about that divide 5, we can just leave it there. For the second term, the 2 is going to come out the front and multiply by the 2/3 and drop down a power of 1. And by that last term, remember 2 pi is just a number, and a number times x differentiates just to the number. So when we tidy everything up, we get 12x squared over 5 minus 4/3, 2 times 2/3 is 4/3, times x to the power of 1 plus 2 pi, and we don't need the power of 1, so we'll leave that out. Great, thanks for watching.